Alright guys, welcome back to another operaomnia video where we are about to talk about Ignis's LD weapon. The next LD weapon to be dropping to global operaomnia very soon. We're going to talk about exactly what his LD weapon does, what his LD call ability does, and I will give my personal opinions on my experiences with Ignis and his LD ability and give my honest opinions about him. Really just kind of let you guys know how I feel about him and whether or not I regret pulling for his LD weapon. So we're going to talk about all that in this video. So as always, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for future content, as it does help the channel grow and it definitely gets my videos out there to newer DFFOO players. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about Ignis's LD weapon. So Ignis's LD ability is called Sage Fire. It recovers Brave to himself based on 100% of his own initial Brave. It recovers Brave to himself based on 30% of his own max Brave. It is a 6-hit AoE fire melee Brave plus AoE HP attack. It increases the Brave damage dealt towards a single target by 60%. It allows for 120% recovered Brave max Brave overflow. It also allows for 150% stolen Brave max Brave overflow. It deals 4 HP damage to all targets, and it inflicts them with the Sage Fire debuff for 4 actions. It also grants him the enhancement buff for 8 actions. Now the debuff Sage Fire is a fire resistance down debuff. It also deals Brave damage based on 80% of the initial Brave when the turn begins, and it cannot inflict Break. And it also gives an HP damage taken up by 10% whenever you are attacking the enemy. Now the buff enhancement, it extends the base duration of buffs granted by Ignis by 2 actions. After attacking an enemy, it inflicts a Sage Fire debuff to target for 4 actions, and this also works whenever you are attacking the enemies with Ignis's HP attack or EX ability. It also grants the following effects to the party: a 20% attack up, a 30% elemental weakness damage up. He also gives a fire enchantment to the party, and stolen and recovered Brave max Brave overflow limit is increased by 20%. His LD board from his Sage Fire ability, during his own turn, he increases the Brave recovered by 10%, excluding Brave recovery through passives and bonus fears. So you have the possibility of being able to recover a good amount of Brave with Ignis. When you are using Sage Fire, it increases the total Brave hits to 8. It increases the potency by a tremendous amount. It increases the recovered Brave max Brave overflow limit by 30% or up to 150%, and it also increases the stolen Brave max Brave overflow limit by 30% or up to 180%. Now at Crystal level 75 Awakening, his call ability Regroup, it recovers a small amount of HP to the party, and it recovers Brave to the party based on the party's, excluding the caller's, total current HP. Also, the special effects, which last for 3 actions from his level 75 call ability, the party gets a max Brave increase by 20% and an attack up increase by 20%. At Crystal level 78, the full HP boost up, when you're using a call while HP is full, it increases own max Brave by a small amount for 6 actions. Now, when we take a look at his LD ability, he basically does everything that I did mention earlier. His special effects, which last for 3 actions after you use his LD ability, the party gets a fire enchant effect and also receives the elemental weakness damage up. That is a 30% elemental weakness damage up. And of course, the enemies are also inflicted with the Sage Fire debuff for 2 actions. So now the big question is, should you pull for Ignis's LD weapon or not? So if you're needing an enchanter / impaler in your party comps, if you want to use Ignis as an LD call to be able to fire enchant and impale the enemies, Ignis is a very good option to pick up now. The only reason I say that is because in the upcoming LUFENIA fights, none of these bosses in, like, say the next 5 to almost 10 LUFENIA fights that is coming to global resist fire. So you have the opportunity to be able to enhance and inflict them with a fire resist down and take advantage of the extra damage that you'll be able to do. Also, a lot of these fights that I have noticed that some of these bosses are going to be either double resistant or absorbing a lot of other elemental weaknesses, like let's say thunder, holy, maybe even darkness. So you kind of want to look at that and see whether or not you want to have that extra little bit of damage in your party comps with Ignis's fire enchant, or if you want to hold off and wait until his LD weapon gets reprinted again. Now, me myself, when Ignis's LD first came to JP, I did not have the resources, and at the time I did struggle a little bit with my team cons, especially trying to do as much damage as I can with some of the upcoming LUFENIA fights, because I didn't have that extra enchanter, and the enchantments that I did have were either going to be absorbed or they were resisted, or I just couldn't do anything in general. So having Ignis would not be a bad option now. And the thing is though, like, he really holds on where you can actually use him, because of the fact that now he has fire enchant / imperil. He becomes much more usable. And if you bring him into team comps, I mean, he's gonna be providing you with auras. He's gonna be providing you with you know, just a couple other things here and there with his normal skills. So to have him either as an LD call or putting him in team comps would not be a bad option, and it would not be a bad option to pick up for future LUFENIA fights, like the upcoming Transcendence fight. Ignis would actually be really helpful in the upcoming Transcendence fight, because the boss that you're going to go up against, which is the Parrot boss, even though it is weak to water damage, the only character that you have right now that does any type of water enchant / imperil would be Garnet. And that's it. I mean, you have Mog, you have Ferris, who will be receiving her LD weapon once Transcendence does drop, which both do water breath damage attacks. But if you're wanting to have something else and also help you out with the LUFENIA ore, because the LUFENIA ore for that Transcendence fight, at least the final gate, is having 5 or more debuffs, and you can either use a Ferris call, you can also add Ignis on there to help you out with the with helping you in controlling the orb, along with other debuffs that you are probably going to be inflicting on a parrot. You know, it's definitely a good option to have. Some of the other, I'm looking through the list right now as I'm recording this video, and like so far, like the next LUFENIA fight where you probably won't be able to use Ignis, I'm literally scrolling down through this list right now, and from what I can tell, like, it's gonna be a very good while until you get to a point where you would not be able to take advantage of his enchant / imperil. So he is not a bad option to pick up now, unless you guys want to wait, unless you are short on resources, and unless you feel comfortable in what you have right now, that you think that you would be okay with skipping out of him. He does come back in a future banner. I don't know exactly which banner he does come back, but he does return. And if you decide to wait, I would highly recommend that you still pick him up whenever he comes back, because I'm telling you, him as an LD card really helps out in terms of dealing an extra break damage and having the enchant / imperil and all the other stuff. But overall though, for me myself, excuse me, I am planning to throw some tickets and hoping that I can get Ignis's LD weapon, because it would be a big plus. For me, I missed out on Krau's LD weapon, so I do not have an option to be able to enhance / enchant my party. So Ignis's LD weapon would actually be a good option for myself. So you know, just kind of keep that in mind. Especially with a lot of these upcoming LUFENIA fights, you can definitely take advantage of him, whether you put him in team comps or you use him as an LD call. But other than that though, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys are going to be doing for Ignis's LD weapon. And yeah, other than that, like, subscribe, do other good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in my next video.